Rebecca Stead was born in New York City on January 16, 1968. She says she was lucky enough to attend the kind of elementary school where a person could sit under a windowsill or under a table, read a book, and no one would tell you to come out and be serious. It was under those windowsills and under those tables where she fell in love with books. More specifically, with fiction books. It was reading that made her think about writing. Rebecca didn't write a lot. Sometimes, she would write things she overheard, such as jokes or bits of conversation. She attended Vassar College, a private co-educational liberal arts college in Poughkeepsie, New York, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in 1989. Later on, she became a lawyer, believing the idea of becoming a writer was impractical. During her career as a public defender, she still wrote adult stories when she found the time. Rebecca married an attorney by the name of Sean O'Brien, and they had 2 sons together. It was her younger son that inspired her to become a writer, but in the most unconventional way. One day, he pushed her laptop off the dining room table, and just like that, her stories were gone. Rebecca decided it was time to write something new and joyful. For inspiration, she went to the bookstore and bought dozens of books she remembered loving as a child and read them. She went back to the bookstore, bought more books, and read those. Then, she began to write. Her first novel, titled First Light, was published in 2007. The novel is about a young boy named Peter who is in Greenland with his mother and father for research on global warming, and a girl named Thea who lives in an undercover colony called Grace Hope, which is located below Greenland. Global warming is melting Grace Hope, and both Peter and Thea try to convince its people to leave. This novel addresses the effects of global warming as the theme. This book is known as an IRA notable book. Rebecca's second novel, titled When You Reach Me, was published in 2009. This novel takes place in New York City during 1978 and depicts Miranda, a 6th grader who recalls the events of the past few months and lays out clues and puzzles as she asks an unknown listener to figure them out. Miranda is a big fan of Madeleine L'Engle's classic A Wrinkle in Time, and her references to that book help add mystery to the novel. 3 plot lines run through this novel, seemingly unrelated as the tale begins. Miranda's mother prepares to be a guest on the show $20,000 Pyramid. Miranda's lifelong friend Sal won't speak to her anymore. And the laughing man, as Miranda calls him, is a homeless man who catches her attention. Her third novel, titled Liar and Spy, was published in 2012. This novel is about George, a 7th grader who moves into a Brooklyn apartment building. There he meets Safer, a 12-year-old coffee-drinking loner and self-appointed spy. George becomes Safer's first spy recruit, and his first assignment is to track Mr. X, who lives in the apartment upstairs. But as Safer becomes more demanding, George starts to wonder, how far is too far to go for your only friend? This novel was named a New York Times bestseller, a New York Times Notable Children's Book of 2012, and an NPR Outstanding Backseat Read for ages 9 through 14. It was also named a Best Children's Book of 2012 by Publishers Weekly, the Hornbook, School Library Journal, Kirkus, and the Wall Street Journal. The Newbery Medal, which is awarded annually by American children's librarians, recognizes the year's most distinguished contribution to American literature for children. Rebecca won the Newbery Medal in 2010 for her second novel, When You Reach Me. She also won the Guardian Children's Fiction Prize in 2013 for her third novel, Liar and Spy. This once-in-a-lifetime award is judged by a panel of British children's writers and conferred by the Guardian newspaper. It recognizes the year's best British children's book by a writer who hasn't yet won it. It was open to non-British writers in 2012, and Rebecca was the first American writer to win it. Rebecca Steed's writing style has consisted of young adult science fiction, contemporary fiction, and mystery. She draws inspiration from her 2 young boys and her old storybook favorites in order to write more novels. She currently lives with her husband and 2 boys on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. Thank you for watching.